And hello, good people of the internet. It is I, Tommy Kelly, and this is Adventures in Woo Woo. And welcome to you all. This is going to be another one of those Patreon divinations, the monthly things we do, where I do a one-card reading for people on Patreon who send me a question. Before that, I just want to say I got a number of messages yesterday and screenshots, because it's the time of year when Spotify released, your year in Spotify, what you've listened to. And quite a number of people had the podcast in their top 5. Most of them are in the top 3, even better, which is really nice. And I was looking at the kind of stats that Spotify sent me, and it's definitely the place where most people are listening to the podcast, more than YouTube. So more people listen to these things than they do watch them, which is quite interesting. I understand that with the Tasta podcast, because it is just audio, but it's interesting that even the video stuff I do, which is a confirmation that I shouldn't spend probably as much time as I do color grading and doing all these things. I just do the videos. I'm not trying to be cinematic or anything here. This is on the Osmo Pocket, the first one. The problem with the Osmo Pocket I found when I'm in the office is that the sound quality is a bit odd on it. It's great outside, but inside. So I have the lavalier mic hooked up, and I have the Rode mic here, just in case the lavalier doesn't work. I am going to get the Pocket 2, I think, though. That is my plan. So let's get straight into these. How are you all? You all doing well? I have my coffee. It's early morning here. It's not as cold as it once was. All's good. We're out of lockdown, just more or less, kind of, here in Ireland. Patreon's been weird. Now, we're back. First question from Rory Kelly. What's my best attitude right now as I work towards greater financial stability? What's my best attitude right now as I work towards greater financial stability? The road opener. So your best attitude, Rory, would be to make sure that you're not kind of putting too many conditions on what it is, and that to see things... because if you put too many conditions on things, or too many rules, or, it has to come in a certain way, money has to come this way, or the job has to be this kind of perfect, or, you kind of, in a sense, leaving yourself closed to all the opportunities and prosperity that could be out there. That's not to say you should say yes to everything, because I've spoken before, but I spent some time saying yes to everything, and what I discovered happened was that I got way more stuff that I didn't want to do. But it's more the kind of thing of, don't kind of dismiss stuff, don't kind of make sure, or don't have it that you need to, your financial stability, your plan towards it, whatever your kind of ideas, excuse me, about it, don't feel that you have to limit it in some way, and just kind of be open to the things that come up, or open to new ideas or new avenues. If you've never, if you've never invested, I've never invested, and someone suggests invest, and maybe look into it, that kind of thing, rather than dismissing it out of hand as, oh, it's too complicated, I don't want to get involved, people lose all the money, whatever it is. Or, just things like that. Just don't be, allow new opportunities, new ideas to come to you. Whether or not you accept them or not is totally up to you. George Sulia. I would like to ask, is my health going to... can't read today. I would like to ask, is my health going to be better going forward? I hope so, George. I hope so. The protester. Now, the protester in this would be... Let me see. So, George, it would seem that what you have to do in this is stand up for yourself a wee bit. And I don't know your situation or whatever, but kind of maybe put your self-care above other things, or, don't be kind of putting it behind or thinking it's not that important, or, other things have to be taken care of first, or other people's needs need to be taken care of. Not that I'm saying that it's that extreme that, oh, things are so bad that, this is so important. It's just that it's more that you need to put yourself first and kind of stop allowing other things to take precedent over this. And the sort of the protesting things, the speaking your voice, making sure you're heard, making sure that people aren't, It's kind of like, that you can get, say you're in a situation in an office or something like that, and you can, unless you speak up, your ideas constantly get overlooked. You get past for job opportunities and all these kind of things. So it's just kind of making sure that you're putting yourself forward and going, I have issues here, I have to get them these dealt with, I have to, you know, work on this. And I know other people are important and other situations are important and money is a factor and money isn't a factor, whatever it is, all of these kind of things, and go, but this is important and this has to be done. And I think that that's one of the things that you just have to be careful about. I know you weren't asking advice on it, but that's what's coming up about it, is just to make sure that you're being heard. That's to say you go to the doctor and they're saying, well, you know, you find something wrong with you, and you go, well, I feel there's something, to make sure you push it. That's kind of it. To, you know, don't be just kind of allow other people to tell you what's going on. Trust your intuitions, speak your voice, get angry if you need to get angry. Get angry at the sickness if you need to get angry, rather than feeling it's your fault too, possibly, if or that, it's something around that as well. So good luck with that, George. That's tough when you're sick. And I wish your best days to be ahead. Jason Mendel, what servant should I look to for the next step towards enlightenment? Let's see, Jason. The Saint. So, the Saint, you can take this one of two ways. You could take Saint in the Saint Cyprian form, in that kind of cross between the, you know, the dark side and the Jedi side, in that he was a black magician who got, you know, initiated by a woman and became, you know, a devout Christian, but still burned as a heretic. So didn't give up all his little toys, I suppose. So there's one way you could work with him, or you could work towards that kind of seeing that balance, that dichotomy of the, you know, the dark side, the good side. If you're spending too much, you know, with the light and love people, hang out with the left-hand path people, if that's a dichotomy that you tend to work in or see. I'm not sure I do. Sometimes I do. It depends on the day. The other thing is that the Saint itself would represent intercession. You know, looking to an expert, looking to someone who actually knows what is going on or can do it, rather than trying to do it yourself, which would suggest that maybe getting a teacher might be something that you'd want to look at. You know, like if you were going to learn yoga, you go to someone who would teach you yoga. You know, it's the same for awakening. Maybe get a meditation teacher or some sort of spiritual guru who will show you what the next bit is. Rodrigo, Franco, or Capo. What servant am I overlooking that could help me at this moment? Okay. The Seer. So that would suggest, well, obviously the answer just is that the Seer could help you at the moment. That's a kind of a yes or no thing. But yeah, so to trust more, go into a kind of period of your intuition and feeling things and gut feelings, rather than analytical, rather than, you know, working out what's best on paper, and just have a, if you have a gut feeling about something, even though it looks, this looks good, this looks right, but there's something just not sitting right. Careful always with intuition stuff is that you're just not afraid of things, and anxiety isn't taking over, because we can kind of sometimes mistake intuition as just anxiety, like, oh, I just don't want to go to that party, and we can translate it into, oh, something bad's going to happen, something's telling me not to go, when in fact it's, I'm just anxious about it. And so you push through the anxiousness if you want, but you know, do whatever you want on, but don't kind of use it as the Seer or intuition as an excuse when it really is anxiety or whatever. Don't go to the party if you don't want to. If it makes you too anxious, don't go to the party. Marco, which servant could I hone to start increasing wealth? Okay. The Fortunate. I mean, that's the obvious choice. I mean, it completely is the obvious choice. And one, you know, if you asked me the question, I wasn't doing a card or wasn't doing a reading, that's what I would suggest you work with. Of course, there is Jardel as well from the Four Devils. People get a lot of help from her. I've spoke before about my not that interest in the Four Devils. But yeah, the Fortunate. So that, it's a simple answer. That's what the card's for. That's what the servant's about. Good fortune. I can't really say much more than that. It's just the right answer. Kim H. Is moving out of state the right choice for us now? The idea. So yeah, so what this would kind of suggest to me, although there's some sort of reticence on my behalf in saying it, that, so it's a new beginning. you know, there's some new thing coming out of this. It's the seed that's been planted. It's something that's, so yeah, you know, like it's going to grow into something bigger in it. The thing. The reason why I think I feel kind of hesitant about it is that there seems to be something as well around that there's something still, some maybe unfinished business or something that there's, while this is, that there's some sort of form of running away from something which you should probably deal with before you go. I don't know. That's just in my head. I'm not a psychic. I'm just going to say that was in my head. But some sort of sense that even though this is the right path, this is the thing to go, this is the new seed, the new idea, the new thing that's going to grow and unfold into the world for you. Don't run away from what's here, and don't, you know, banish all that's here. That there's something where you are and where you that needs to be either taken with you, sorted out, or not dismissed, I suppose, is the best way. So yeah, but the idea. So that's, I would say that as a positive. If I got the idea as the answer to that question, I would say it's a good idea. Merrily Duffy. Am I on the right path with my current choice of creative projects? A lot of kind of just yes or no kind of answers this time, which is good in one way. It means it won't be a half an hour video. Am I on the right path with my current choice of creative projects? The Protector. Right, because it's a yes or no, we're going to say, I would say, well, it depends on what your association to the Protector is. You could say that, oh, there's a need for protection, therefore the answer is no. Or you could say you are protected and therefore the answer is yes. Am I on the right path with my current choice of projects? You are protected, so you are on the right path. This is the right path. If it's not a call for a need for protection, it's saying the answer to it is protection. So yes, I'm going to go with a yes, that you are on the right path with your choice of creative projects, given that there seems to be the element of protection around it. Hard with these yes and no's ones sometimes, because there seems to be a bigger story that wants to be told, but when the question is just a yes or no, you have to kind of push to the yes or no bit. Abraxas, where am I at? Let's see. Imagine I give you your exact address. Just a card, white card with your exact address. Where am I at, Abraxas? You are at the Adventurer. So, you are at a point that you need to, in some way, have fun. And you need to enjoy things. And you need, it's like, kind of like being on vacation. And I know a bit about what's going on with it, so I'll not speak too much of it, because, you know, I'll just be speaking to probably things that I know rather than what the card is saying. So the Adventure just itself is, it's kind of expansion, moving out, doing things that you wouldn't normally do, but not in a kind of pushing your boundaries. It's not like a personal development thing. It's about like, I wouldn't normally spend all night playing games because I'm usually working. Someone go, you know, but it's spending the night playing the games. It's not really pushing your boundaries. It's not developing you as a person. It's you having an adventure, you having some fun. And in turn, of course, that does lead to some personal growth and thing that you realise that perhaps some of the things that you had an importance, value placed upon aren't as important as you suspected they were in the first place. But yeah, so I think it's kind of a call for having some fun and a bit of adventure and doing things that you wouldn't normally do, that you wouldn't have the opportunity to do, or you wouldn't be in the position to do. And yeah, there's something about the adventure as well that's outdoorsy, that seems to me, but not always, but it's come into my head there, so I'll say it. Natasha von Steers. Is sticking it out worth it? Again, no kind of yes or no. I hope where you are, Natasha, isn't too dark for you. That kind of question, it's hard to know exactly what's going on, of course. The Seer. So, I'm going to put it back in you. What does it feel like? What do you think? The Seer would suggest to me that you already know the answer. There's this brilliant thing I read years ago, that if you can't decide between two options, toss a coin, and while the coin is in the air, while the coin is in the air, whatever that Freudian slip was about, notice where your emotions are, and notice where what you want it to land on. You know, so you mightn't necessarily have an appreciation of it just if you're trying to think it out, which is just because you'll be, you know, torn between analytical kind of intuition, what you want, you know, what you should be doing, all these things. But when you toss the coin in the air and something else is going to make the decision for you, you will notice a hope sometimes, or, you know, a wish that it would be one side or the other. And that's probably the side you should go on because that's what you really want, even if it's not the most rational decision at the time. You know, you kind of want to be given permission to do something. So, not saying toss the coin, but to have an idea that you already know the answer to this. And I suspect that by asking the question that it might be like tossing the coin in the air, that you're more looking for permission to do what you want to do or what you feel is right to do, rather than actually getting, you know, not a proper answer, but, you know, that you're not necessarily looking for the answer, you're looking for permission. And so the seer would say, go with what you feel is right. And who am I to disagree with the seer? Ladina Bond, which way should I go creative-wise? The adventure. It's funny, like, I mean, I always kind of, it happens every time I do these readings that the cards come up. Like, there's 40 of them, and the seers come up twice, the adventures come up twice. There was one time, like, sorry Ladina for going off the tangent here, and one time that the monk came up, I think, in a reading of, like, say, 15 questions, come up like 4 or 5 times, which is very odd. Maybe my shuffling is terrible, but I don't think it is. It doesn't come up like that when I'm doing readings for myself, which is interesting. So anyway, what should I, where should I go creative-wise? The adventure. So it's doing things you wouldn't normally do. It's exploring new kind of areas and new things and having kind of fun with it and a new lease of life on it. And sometimes we can get kind of caught up in art and stuff like that, like, and it can become a bit like homework or a bit like work or whatever, rather than the joy or the fun or the creativity or the expression. That, you know, that's why we're artists and why we're attracted to this type of outlet. And so have fun with it. You know, do things that are fun rather than things that you could say that you might think other people would like, or things that, you know, oh, I could sell this, or, you know, people would appreciate this. Just have fun. Do something just for the hell of it, rather than for trying to make good art or trying to, you know, go in a particular direction or have some sort of vision, or, you know, just something for fun that is throwaway in a sense that it's not for an exhibition, it's not for a book, it's not for whatever, it's just to do it and have fun with it. So that's what I suggest. Hannah, and it's the last question. Still going to come up to 20 minutes. Oh. Hannah, how can I free myself from whatever inner devil is holding me back? Okay. The chaste. So the chaste obviously has the sexual connotation of, you know, not having sex or keeping yourself pure or that kind of thing, and kind of physical, almost puritanical way. But there always also is the kind of side to it, of course, that when you just take it as a kind of representation of sacrifice, in that you're not doing something for the sake of a better future. Not do, you know, you don't do something now, or you sacrifice something now in order to have something greater at some time in the future. So you go on a diet, which is painful in the moment, but, you know, you get thin, or, you know, you get fitter if you go to the gym or whatever, these type of things, or you save some money. You don't go out for the meal at the weekend or the drinks, whatever it is. Not that anyone's doing that at the minute, but you know, in the hope that then in the future you get your new house or whatever, that kind of thing. So in the chase and the kind of sacrifice element of it, excuse me, and also maybe pointing to overindulging in something. So let me see, I'm kind of trying to tease this out. So there's an idea here that to free yourself from the inner devil or whatever is to stop indulging in it, to kind of sacrifice the pleasure that you would normally get from indulging in it. I'll explain that a bit more. Have you ever caught yourself, say, coming out of a store or out of a shop, or, you know, and the person who was serving you was, you know, said something smart, or, you know, something didn't go the way you wanted, or they were just being, you know, a dick or whatever, and you're kind of arguing with them the whole way as you walk home, or you know, walk down the street or whatever. You can kind of find yourself catching yourself, particularly if you've done any sort of meditation, mindfulness, you catch yourself doing that, and you kind of see that there is there's a kind of a weird pleasure in it, to indulge in it, to kind of, it's almost a bit like the typical thing of people feeling sorry for themselves, which I've kind of issue with, but it's a good example in this point that, you know, there's an indulgence in it, in the misery, in the kind of, you know, there's a let going of responsibility, in a sense of feeling sorry, because feel sorry for me means I don't have to do anything about it. You know, it's just, oh look, I'm sad or whatever. Again, that's a very terrible example, but it kind of one that points to what I'm saying. So there's this kind of notion maybe that you're indulging in your inner devil too much, and that you're giving it too much power by doing that, and that, you know, that if you kind of try to attempt that when it comes up, rather than engaging with it, rather than allowing it to invoke into you, or, you know, act through you, or whatever it is, that how it manifests for you, you know, when it's trying to manifest, when it arrives, this inner thing, to say no to it. And that's hard. I mean, it's easy to say that, just say no to it. Like it's like saying if someone's giving up cigarettes, you know, it's easy to give them cigarettes, you just don't have any more cigarettes. You know, I understand that that's not what it looks like in practice, but it is the answer though. You know, that is it. So it's like, so say you have a confidence thing, and that every time you kind of start to feel good about yourself, then there's this wee voice in the back, you know, mind that goes, oh, you're a shithead, or you're shit, or you're a piece of shit, and, you know, how dare you feel good about yourself, you look terrible, whatever it is. And just go, no, shut up. You know, angrily. Like, I mean, when I was doing it in therapy, they were trying to stress me to, like, physically get really angry at it, and it's an assertive, protective anger or whatever. It feels a bit odd doing it, but I have done it to success at different times. It's just like, I'm sick of your shit, so stop doing it. I'm not listening to you anymore. And it's not that the voice goes away, it's just you stop and acting on it, and you realise when you're kind of indulging in it, and you realise when it has taken over. And sometimes you will still indulge in it, because we're human, and what can you do? You know, sometimes that's just the way it is. But it becomes less and less a value in your life. It becomes less and less a problem. But if you can slip, and it can come back, of course, whatever. But it's just not acting on the devil, not allowing the devil to have its due. So, yeah, I would say that's what the chaste would represent in that thing. So, good people of the internet, that is another one card divinations. They seem to go down well. People seem to like them. I enjoy doing them. And yeah, we do them once a month over on Patreon. So if you want to be in the next one, just join Patreon. It starts at $1 as far as I know. Although they have changed it recently, where you can, if you're in the UK, it's, you know, in sterling, and if you're in Europe, it's €1. So I don't know if it is $1 or equivalent. I think it's equivalent. But yeah, so like that's where it starts. So if you want to know, yeah, we do them every month. You just leave your question, I answer them. Next week we'll be doing the Q&A. We have some cool stuff coming up for the Tommy and Spud Talk About podcast, because it's going to be our first year anniversary in 2 weeks or so. So that'll be cool. And yeah, that's it for the time being. Thank you for listening, to all you audio people who listen on Spotify. I really appreciate you all. And to all of you who listen on iTunes and Pocket Casts and wherever it is that you listen to this podcast. I do really appreciate it. And I know sometimes I forget that there is audio only people, and I forget what the descriptions, but I think I said all the cards this time, and hopefully that it was you were able to follow along. So, good people of the internet, until our next adventure, be well, be very well, and may our best days be ahead.